She is a counsel for somebody I know. Bring it down, but. So. That's.
No, I think we're. Okay. Yep. So. First. That is correct. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Today is October 30th, and we will call the Ohio Elections Commission meeting to order.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, or Madam Vice Chair, who's sitting as chair today. Mr. Lyle. Present. Ms. Tavares.
Present.
Mr. Kirschner.
Present.
Mr. Stoutberg. Present. Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis.
Here.
Ms. Hagan is absent. Other than that, the commission is present and there is a quorum.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
I'll move to excuse our chair, Ms. Hagan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes what?
Six now?
Six of us, six.
We have six.
Okay.
Yep. First matter up for the commission is the approval of the minutes of the October 9th meeting, which have all been circulated to you. So if there, Mr. Lyle indicated there was one change. I had incorrectly referenced a 7-0 vote when it should have been 5-0 on one of the matters. Other than that, nothing has changed from the minutes that I circulated to all of you last week.
I think we should do a roll call because I wasn't here.
Okay.
For approval, because I'm gonna abstain.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstention.
Okay.
That motion passes 5-1.
5-0, because you're just.
Oh, 5-0, that's right.
Mr. Stoutberg wasn't picked yet, but.
4-0.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Stoutberg was, my bad.
Numbers getting shorter and shorter.
Or is sufficient to take an action by the commission. Chris, yes. Chris, you've got the original, right? That you want signed? Okay, yeah, Chris. Thanks. Mark with the copy. Thank you, member, Madam Chair. The first item for the commission's consideration is item number 1 in the preliminary review section. Case number, it should be 2025 D032, Motley v. Wommeldorf. The complaint alleges that the complainant did not include, or the respondent, did not include a proper disclaimer on campaign website, campaign bumper sticker, yard sign. A response was submitted by the respondent. I've synopsized that for you and circulated it to you last week. The respondent essentially stated that the violations were unknowing. He's placed stickers on certain materials, posted certain information, and notify other persons of the errors and corrections and all over the Scanpig website. Mr. Wambledorf is here. If you would like to hear from him further, Madam Chair, and members, we can certainly have him sworn. He can make an additional statement if he is so inclined.
Mr. Mallett, would you like to speak?
I can, but I don't have any written statements.
That's okay. Why don't you come forward and make a statement?
Sure.
Okay, you will need to be sworn. You can stand there.
You swear from to tell the truth, the whole truth. and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay. Yep, you can sit there or stand. Well, you don't have a microphone.
Yeah, why don't you stand at the lectern and go ahead and address the commission?
Okay. Most of what I was going to say, I said in my I looked over what I did. I followed the rules. As soon as I found that out, I made sure to correct it in any way possible. Like I immediately covered all the problems with my campaign, and made sure to notify all of my followers to please, dispose of like I could provide things to make them correct in that election committee. And this is my first election. I apologize for any indiscretions. But as I go, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Commission members, does anyone have any questions?
I have a public comment. Eddie. So as I read his statements, I noticed obviously we have a recommendation here for a $50 fine, but this was his first offense. I believe as I read it, he certainly did his due diligence. I mean, the moment he found out what was going on, he corrected it. He made a statement publicly to all his folks to understand what happened. Very contrite in it, and because it's his first offense, I would actually like to make a motion recommendation for a violation for good cause and not to impose a fine.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. That motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the commission, I'm going to work through the list of persons, since there's no one else present for anything except I think we get hearing. I'm going to direct and Chris, I'll direct your attention to item number 42, case number 2025R-267, Mary Brown. My recommendation in that case is find a violation, but for good cause, not oppose a fine or for the matter for the prosecution. Chris, if you could call her up, we could have her sworn and she could further address the commission.
Ms. Brown, would you like to make a statement on behalf of your complaint? Can she hear me? I think you're on mute. You may be muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can. Would
Yes,
you like to
okay,
be
thank
sworn
you.
to make a statement?
Just that, the letter that I sent in, I
If you want to
apologize.
speak, we have to swear you in, that's all.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. You swear from to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Thank you. As I had stated in my letter, I had not had a campaign finance for a few years because I just was running unopposed. So this is the first time that I had to submit a report in quite a while. And I had opened a new account. I only had one deposit in there, my opening, and then one check. And then I put a penny in there because I was trying to Zelle and make sure that the Zelle was working on the account as well. And that penny kind of threw my report off. So I had to redo it, making it late. And then I had other things come in the meantime, so I went down and met with the Board of Elections. And Ms. Amato took care of everything with me and helped me to understand where things go on the report. And so it was corrected, it was submitted and confirmed. And I've already done my next report and gotten my letter back that everything was submitted correctly. So again, I apologize for having wasted your time to have to do this hearing for me. But going forward, I think I should be okay. I've got a spreadsheet set up and all of the information that has to be included with the reports.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Commission members, does anyone have a statement? Anyone like to make a motion?
Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director to find a violation, but for good cause.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Brown. For good cause, there's no fine. Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
very much. Thank you. Do I leave the meeting now?
I mean, you
Yes.
can stay if you want, but it's a
Okay.
public meeting, but you,
of fun.
That's a great try.
But if you- you want to have a great day, I suggest you kind of go on, but it's up to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
The next matter I would bring to the commission's attention is case number 20, on page 2, under the $100 fine category. Case number 2025R-290, the LTA PAC. Yeah, I really know what's the case. Rachel, I presume it's right, is present, as well as I believe the treasurer, Casey Salmi. Again, commission members, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100. This is I synopsized the response, which you can see on the worksheet. This is their second violation. There was 2025R-017, which the commission found a violation, but for good cause did not oppose a fine in March of 2024. Like I said, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100. After the commission hears from either Ms. Salmi or Ms. Wright, who I believe is her counsel, if the commission would like to make a different decision, I certainly understand that. So someone can be either someone can be sworn or Ms. Wright could speak as counsel if she is so inclined.
Ms. Wright, would your, I can't even think, I just lost my word.
It's okay.
Would your client like to speak or would you be speaking on their behalf?
I would like to make a statement on her behalf, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and then if you have any additional questions, she's here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Commissioners, the Lakewood Teachers Association Political Action Committee respectfully requests that the Commission dismiss the complaint filed in this matter or in the alternative, find a violation but issue no fine. This case arises from an inadvertent late filing of the semi-annual 2025 campaign finance report that was due on July 31st of 2025, and it was received on September 2nd of 2025. The delay was neither willful nor intended to conceal any political activity. Rather, it resulted from a treasurer transition during a period when the PAC had minimal or no candidate expenditures. The LTA PAC is a local political action committee. It's existed for a few years. The treasurer prior to Casey Salmi, who is identified on the notices, was on medical leave and subsequently retired at the end of the year. Casey Salmi then took over as treasurer. And then in the spring of 2025, Casey was in the process of transitioning the treasurer duties to Lisa Bisa Lynn, who officially became the treasurer effective September 2nd of 2025. And as I stated, Ms. Lynn is here and prepared to give testimony if necessary. But during the period of transition, the Board of Elections issued the reminder that the semi-annual campaign finance report was due on or before July 31st of 2025. The report was ultimately filed. It was filed on August 28th and received by the Board of Elections on September 2nd of 2025. The total expenditures reported were $74, which consisted entirely of bank fees related to account inactivity and paper statements, so no funds were expended on candidates or political activities. The PAC does remain active, and the new treasurer has taken steps to ensure future compliance. So we would respectfully request that the complaint be dismissed, or in the alternative, if a violation is found, that for good cause shown, that the commission not impose a fine. The violation here was inadvertent, it was unintentional and promptly corrected. So for those reasons, we would ask that the fine not be imposed. If a violation occurred, it caused no harm to the public interest or to the electoral process, and the committee did promptly correct it once it was discovered. We believe there are mitigating circumstances justifying leniency in this case. The commission has routinely taken into account mitigating factors such as administrative turnover or lack of intent to conceal or mislead. Here, the change in officers explains the delay, and the transition was conducted in good faith, and the new treasurer has assumed the responsibilities to maintain ongoing compliance. So for all of the foregoing reasons in this matter, we would ask that either the complaint be dismissed, or if a violation is found, that there be no fine imposed.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Commission members, are there any comments or questions for Ms. Wright? Mr. Lyle? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we find a violation, but due to the explanation by council, we impose a $50 fine rather than a $100 fine.
Second.
Okay, there's 2 seconds on that. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0. Thank you to the Lakewood Teachers Association for being here, and Ms. Wright. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. The next matter I would bring to the commission's attention is item on page 2, item number 54, case number 2025R-279.
Mhm.
Page 2.
Second page, second page 54.
Okay, 2025 R-2.
279, 2025 R-279, item number 54, Joanna Lopez.
Just when I thought I could get my case. Madam Chair, members of the commission, according to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, this the requested addendum has not been submitted by the candidate for the treasurer for this committee. My recommendation, as you can see, is to consolidate this with a prior case, find a violation, impose a fine of $200 due to the fact that the reports have not been filed. But we could further hear from the treasurer who was online, Alicia Graves, and see how the commission would like to proceed as it relates to this case.
Okay, Ms. Graves, would you like to speak on behalf of your client this morning?
Yes, I would.
Okay, go ahead and proceed.
So the reports that were being requested to be filed, they were timely filed and they needed amendments. And what happened is there was information that was missing initially that couldn't be put on the initial report. But I was in regular communication with the staff from the Board of Elections, who initially was Ray Combs, and as of March 13th of this year became Frank. Don't recall his last name, but I met with Ray Combs. I spoke to her many times, and I met with Ray, and I also met with Frank after Ray was gone. And the issue is, so I completed everything. It was done in April. And then, but on March 13th, Frank sent me the Board of Elections draft of what the campaign account like, or report should look like. So I completed it, and then I looked at his report and mine didn't match. So what I did was call Frank and I said, hey, this doesn't match. I'm not sure why, because everything on from my perspective is in there. Can we just meet and look at it and see if there's something, generally speaking, that I need to change? And I can just change that way when the report is coming in, it's correct. So we set that meeting. I met with him and realized that his report was wrong. Mine still needed to be modified, and he didn't understand the notes from the initial Board of Elections representative of Ray Combs. So I went back to, we met, went over the notes that neither of us could really understand. And then I said, well, I will modify, I will see what else I see is missing from your version, and I will modify mine. Since then, my mom died and I was out. So I've been out of the office, and I returned last week on Thursday, but now I'm sick as of Saturday. So, but I went into the office yesterday to try to finish everything and realized that the report from the Board of Elections, the draft report, is more incorrect than we noticed when we met in March. So I am almost finished correcting what I will be submitting, but the issue is it is different than what the Board of Elections is saying the report should look like. But based on what I'm looking at, it is the draft report that's incorrect and not our version. There are just different things on the report, on these statements that weren't able to be understood, I presume, by the Board of Elections. For example, there is a deposit that said $3,000 that looks like it's campaign contribution from individual people giving a donation. Instead, it was from the candidate. So that goes, it's a loan and it's income, other income. So those things aren't reflected. So the numbers are off. So that has been the issue. It just wasn't matching, but I was always in communication with them. All of these statements, all of the receipts, all of that have been turned in. It was just about modifying the way that it appeared because the numbers weren't coming out accurate. So I would say that there is mitigating circumstances to perhaps not, even if there's a finding that there is no fine, but we simply just needed time to be able to amend it. And I know that I do. And I came in yesterday to be able to deal with it. And after this meeting, I'm heading to urgent care. So I'm not well at the moment, and that's why it wasn't even in before this hearing. But I've simply been out of the office.
Thank you, Ms. Graves. Are there any comments from commission members or questions?
Madam Chair, just a question of the executive director. Did I hear you state that according to the board, the reports still aren't filed or?
That is correct, yes. And I was about to clarify. So Ms. Graves, you still have filings to make with the board, is what I understood you to say,
So
correct?
it's amendments. The initial filings were all made timely. I need to amend it. And what really it is, it's the first report that needs to be amended, which will change the balance carried forward number on the other two, but the other two were correct. There's one other thing that I failed to mention. The way on the second report, I'm sorry, on the third report, there was some fraud on the account. And the way that Ray Combs told me to deal with it was not to include that on the account and simply write a cover letter explaining the parts that were fraud, because it was reversed in other things. And when I met with Frank, he said not to do that, that it actually has to go into the report and not as an aside. So I'm now going to modify it to do what he said when initially 30 days before Ray Combs suggested that I do it a different way. So it hasn't been that I haven't been responsive. My office is literally down the street from the Board of Elections. I've been available via phone, email. I've responded to all phone calls, all emails. I've met with both of them various times throughout this process, and the information simply wasn't matching and we didn't know why. So I have figured it out yesterday, what was missing or what why certain numbers came out higher and it should be different. I did do that, but I stayed there until 10 and I am suffering as a result of that. So I do intend to modify it to be able to turn it in just as soon as I can get well. It probably will only take me 24 hours. But that has been the recent delay. But everything else, I've been going back and forth with them so that we could figure out what the issue was.
Thank you. Remember? You are?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a question for Ms. Graves. First of all, sympathies for your mother and that you're sick. Secondly, could you expand, please, on you said that there was fraud on the account. What do you mean by that there was fraud?
Yeah, so some of the transactions that the candidate was using, or the platforms, I should say, PayPal, there were some charges that came in, or Apple Pay, that wasn't from the campaign. Like we didn't purchase anything or we didn't do anything, and there was a charge. So once the candidate saw that, she contacted them and then they went back to reverse things. So if the transaction happened in, let's say, March, it wasn't noticed until April. And so they were contacted and then transactions started being reversed. So when Ray Combs told me to deal with it, she said, don't put the transaction in as if it was something that we purchased or an expenditure or anything. Just put all of those to the side, do it on a cover letter, explain what they are, and then do the rest of the transactions as they came from the campaign. And that's how I did it. And all of the numbers matched and everything was fine. And then when I met with Frank, when he came in March, he said, well, no, don't do it that way. Put everything on there. And I said, okay, but this was how it was done. Again, everything was turned in timely, but this is how I was instructed to deal with it. It explains everything that wasn't a transaction from the campaign, but it's not on the report and it's included in the cover letter. So I surmise at this time that I will be revising that to include the fraud transactions and just show them come in and come out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graves. I think we have a recommendation possibly from our executive director.
Yeah, it would appear, Madam Chair, members of the commission, that we probably should continue this in order to give additional time to submit what she needs. And then we can bring this back either at the meeting on next Thursday, if she can do it that quickly, or on November 20th. And resolve the matter after the reports have been filed.
If I may, can we
Yes.
do 20th? I'm still not sure what's going on in terms of me being sick, and I'm leaving after this meeting to head there, so I wouldn't want to do it for next Thursday.
Can the chair just continue it?
Yes, the chair can just continue this matter.
Okay, Ms. Graves, we're gonna go ahead and continue your hearing until our November 20th meeting.
Okay.
So please make sure, get well and make sure that you get everything filed.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you so much.
Yes. The next case I bring to the commission's attention, still on page 2, just slightly above. It's item number 22, case number 2025 R-050, Tierra Briggs. Ms. Briggs is present remotely. I had a conversation, my recommendation, Madam Chair, members of the commission, is to reconsider all the outstanding matters that we have related to this respondent. Vacate the previous findings, consolidate all matters together with this one, find a violation, and impose a fine of $500. We could further hear from Ms. Briggs. In my conversation yesterday with staff at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, while the reports have not specifically been filed, the campaign finance director there is very confident that things will be resolved. And she agreed with my recommendation to go ahead and consider this matter fully resolved with the finding that I am making. If the commission wanted to further hear from Ms. Briggs, we can certainly do so. She could be sworn.
Ms. Briggs, would you like to speak? You're on mute, I believe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of people I know learn Teams. I was not.
Would you like to speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, you need to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you can proceed, Ms. Briggs.
He said he spoke to someone local, so I'm assuming that they told him what was going on. I thought that the campaign was closed. I didn't know all of this was going on until I got something from the Attorney General. And ended up calling the Ohio Election Commission and then speaking to Ms. Amato. She's working on telling me what I'm going to need to do. So I don't really have much of, I'm still waiting on her. She said it's an election cycle, so it might take a while. I'm going to do whatever it is she needs me to do. Like I said, I thought it was already closed. They had asked me for something previously years ago that I gave them, and I thought that was it. My only request is if it is at all possible, so maybe I know 500 is less, but it's more than I have right now. If there's any way to do anything any lower, that would be appreciated. I was on light duty for 6 months out of this year and just got back to work, so I'm trying to climb out of debt myself. I'm a paramedic, so I have to be able to be in full function to work. So being on light duty affected my ability to work. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Briggs. Do we have any questions or conversation from our commission members?
Yeah, just a question for the executive director. If someone has a difficult time with payment, do you permit payment plans, other
Yes.
structures?
I'll go ahead and say it right there as you're asking the question. Yes, we've regularly done that before. Yeah, it's not normal, but yes, we have done it. And we're more than willing to do it in order to try and make it a little bit more amenable for somebody to come into compliance.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a question with respect to the campaign committee. Ms. Briggs indicated that she thought it was terminated. And I guess my question to Ms. Briggs is, do you wish to terminate this campaign committee?
Yes, ma'am. Am I still unmuted?
We can hear you.
Thank you.
We can hear you.
Okay.
So you do, there's been no activity in a while?
No, ma'am. I ran for school board in 2017. I didn't win, and it should have been done one more year after that to clear up some things. And then the bank account was closed. There was only, I think, $130 or something in there. And so the bank took that in fees and closed the account. So they asked me for that. I had to call the bank and they mailed me the account paperwork, and because I didn't have online access anymore, and then I sent it over, and I thought that was it.
Thank you.
Discourage. I wouldn't discourage them.
No, yeah. So it's one thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm sure I have a question.
Mr. Knight?
Ms. Briggs, so you thought it was closed 2017, 2018, bank accounts closed, and you heard nothing until recently that this was an issue?
I have not gotten anything that I know of. I did miss some things from just in general. So it's possible I was missing something from here. I'm a paramedic. So 2020, 2021, I was working 80, 90 hours a week or more. I was barely home. At one point, I was staying in a hotel, but due to COVID, they were giving some first responders COVID rooms so that we weren't bringing things home to our children, our families. So I have not. There's something else I missed that I don't know if it was coming here. I don't know what was happening, but like I said, I got something from the Attorney General, and
When did you receive that? The notice from the Attorney General, when did you receive that?
maybe a week or two ago.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to reduce the amount to $100.
And terminate.
Yes, I'm sorry, and terminate, right?
Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor to reduce the fine.
I have some discussions. Commissioner Lyle, why 100?
Why 100? Well, because there's clearly a violation that goes back a while. I mean, I'm looking at the ICW, and this goes back to 18, so obviously she's been out of compliance for a while. I've heard it, heard her explanation, but I still think it would warrant some amount of money. She had a prior violation, $50 fine in 12/6/18 that was not paid. So it would seem to me that the next position we go to would be $100. That's how I came up with that.
Any more discussion?
Well, there's a motion.
There's still a
There is a
motion.
motion, there's been no second.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
That motion passes 5-1.
Thank you, Ms. Gregg.
Thank you. May I ask do I call the local office? How do I take care of this?
You will,
And you will receive a notice from the commission, but you would pay your $100 fine to the Ohio Elections Commission in our office.
Okay.
Okay, and we have declared your committee terminated, but I would still encourage you to go work with the staff at the Cuyahoga County Board to resolve any issues with them.
Okay.
Okay, talk to Rose Marie.
Okay. Thank you very much, all of you.
thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Staying on page 2, slightly, the next one down below that, on item number 43, case number 2025 R-268, Aimee Imbrogno. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $200 fine. Impose a fine of $200 as due to the fact that the reports have not been filed yet, according to the Board of Elections. Certainly, if we could hear more from Ms. Imbrogno, we can find out what her perception of the status is as it relates to the addendum that have not been filed with the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections.
Good morning, Ms. Imbrogno. Would you like to speak?
Good morning. Yes, I would like to speak.
Are you an attorney?
I am.
Okay.
Well, but she would still need to be sworn because she's representing, she's here
Yeah.
on her own behalf.
I'm testifying on my own behalf, so I think I do have to be sworn. It's fine.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you for your time this morning. So I ran for Court of Common Pleas last year, and as my first time, never ran for anything before. Sorry about the glare. I don't know how to get rid of that. So it's just me and my treasurer. We both work at a law firm here in Cleveland, and we received notice that I needed to update my reports from last year in June. So the issues that needed to be updated were, number one, I had attributed a $50 donation to being received from PayPal when it actually went into Venmo. Number two, there was like a 82-cent charge at Staples that hadn't been put on the report. Number three, I had attributed a $144 purchase to coming out of the campaign, which I had actually paid for myself. So that amount had gone on the wrong form. And then there was a small PayPal fee that I had left off. So I received the notice in June and sat down and started to work on it. But the thing that caught me up was the fact that I needed to provide the Venmo statements, and couldn't get in the Venmo because they wanted to send me a code through a phone number that I was using for the campaign, and it wasn't coming through. So I would sit down, try to get a hold of Venmo, but that wasn't very easy and I couldn't get through at first. So June, July, well, pretty much every month of my life at work has been incredibly crazy. I just always have a huge pile of things to do, and I knew that I had to get to this and try to get the information from Venmo, but pretty much every single day I had something I had to do for a client. And I know it's not like a good excuse or anything. I take full responsibility for it. Totally not my treasurer's fault. But the status right now is I have been in touch with the Board of Elections either late September, early October, provided most of the information that they had requested. The Venmo information was still outstanding. So I submitted that earlier this week. I got on the phone with Venmo. I think that took me like 2 hours. Got the information. I've submitted it. I believe at this point I have submitted everything that they need. I just haven't received the final confirmation for it. And I guess the most mitigating factor here is everything that I had spent or received was reported to the Board of Elections. It's just that it wasn't necessarily in the place it needed to be. So if something was left off the report, I had submitted the receipt for it or vice versa. And then I had that in-kind contribution that was on the wrong place in the form. And then I did submit the Staples receipt. It just wasn't on the form because I thought that it didn't have to be because it was so low. I thought there was a rule under a certain amount. So I take full responsibility for not doing this sooner, but there wasn't anything that I was trying to hide. It was just a matter of trying to get everything in the place it was supposed to be. And I believe they have everything they need at this point. I just haven't gotten the final confirmation for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comment from the commission members?
Madam Chair, I have two for Mr. Richter. The ICW is showing that reports have not been filed. Do you have an update on that? Have they been filed?
I have not specifically talked to Summit County, but I did, reach out to them.
No,
But this would be Cuyahoga. So I
Sorry, I was
just
looking at a different.
submitted.
One moment, please. One
I
moment.
was looking at the wrong thing. When I got response back from Cuyahoga County the other day, it did not indicate that anything had been filed. No.
Okay. And question number two, again, looking at the ICW, so these are addendums, obviously,
Correct.
but we had a violation for good cause for late filing 24 post primary report. So I guess my question is, how do we jump from good cause to $200?
Normal, let's say, let's put it this way, normal, well, first off, the reports has not been filed. And normally, let's say the reports had been filed and I'd received a response because it was a good cause, the next fine would be $100. Okay. Since there was no response
Right.
and the reports have not been filed, I'm recommending $200.
Okay.
So that's the basic logic that I'm using as it relates to getting that level. Certainly, if the commission wants to do something less than that, I understand it. Now that we've heard her, that would also indicate a lesser fine than what I originally recommended. But I was kind of doing some other things. Was she indicating the reports have been filed?
That's what she said. Is that correct, Pam? The reports have
so
been filed?
And when?
I submitted, I submitted most of the information on October 9th, and then I submitted the rest of it yesterday.
Did you get a time stamped confirmation or how did you submit it?
So, okay, so I submitted the actual forms themselves. I went down to the Board of Elections on Tuesday and submitted those. I did get a timestamp copy. And then I heard from the person at the Board of Elections again yesterday. She called me and said she needed the Venmo information. So that's when I got on the phone with Venmo and was able to get some of that to her yesterday. So the timestamp is from Tuesday. And then yesterday is when I submitted additional information. So I guess there's 3 pertinent dates: October 9th, October 28th and 29th. So the timestamp would be on the 28th.
So you do have a timestamp from Tuesday, the 28th, but not from
I do.
yesterday. Okay. Thank
Correct.
you.
I have emails from yesterday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments? Is there?
What were, and I apologize if I missed something. I was trying to do 2 other things at one time. What are the amounts that are of concern outstanding?
So the Venmo amount was $50. And then I guess they wanted to make sure there weren't any additional fees that Venmo had charged, which I was able to confirm based on information in my email that there weren't prior to getting the statements yesterday. But then when I got the statements yesterday, I was able to confirm that. So the issue was that on my report, I said that that donation was made to PayPal, but it was made to Venmo. So that was the $50. The Staples receipt was 82 cents. The PayPal fee that didn't end up on the report was $1 something. And then the in-kind contribution that I had attributed to the campaign that actually came from my pocket was 144.
And are you planning on running again at some point, or did you want to terminate the committee?
Not anytime soon, so I would like to terminate it if I can.
Okay. After having heard that, Madam Chair, I'd like to change my recommendation to still find a violation because the reports were not timely filed. Find a violation, impose a fine of $100 and declare the committee terminated.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the executive director's amended recommendation?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you, Ms. Ambrosia. No, it's not Ambrosia. I'm
Thank
sorry. Ambronio. You now have a fine of $100 and have a great day.
You too, thanks.
Terminate.
Oh, and terminate the committee.
No, and the committee is terminated. Clerk terminates. The next item I'll bring to your attention, members, is on the top of page 4, is reconsideration matter for Ronald Taylor. My recommendation is to reconsider the matter, vacate the previous imposition for the per diem fine, and instead impose a fine of $250. Part of the reason for there's a couple of bases for the $250 fine. One, we elicited his reconsideration because we found out his reports had been filed. No response had been submitted to me prior to this, so we could hear from Mr. Kaler, and that might change my recommendation. And also, when you look at the ICW, the reconsideration worksheet, you can see there have been other violations found dating back to 2007, most recently in 2021, where fines were imposed, but all those fines weren't paid. And so if Mr. Kaler would like to be sworn, he could further address the commission.
Mr. Kaler, would you like to speak? I guess he's ready.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I thank
You
you
can
for the,
You can proceed. Thank you.
thank you for the commission's time, and I apologize for my failures. The failures that concern the matter before the board today basically come from a missing receipt that I had difficulty finding, that I had a computer die, and that I moved several times, so I didn't receive notices of reports not being filed. I was able to find the missing receipt, and we got everything finalized, and there was no incorrect information reported. No funds were raised, spent, or reported improperly. The reports that were missing were 0 reports, and final report has been filed now. I request mercy with regards to the fines. There was no intent to conceal or mislead, and I'll put myself at the mercy of the board.
Thank you. Are there any questions, discussion from commission members?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to point out, Mr. Richter said it, but he has paid $300 in fines. He paid a 50, 100, and 150. But obviously remitted money back to us for those violations. So I'm not so sure that 250 is the proper amount. I'm just throwing that out for the commission.
Well, I will interject, based on hearing Mr. Kaler's statement and the status of the other matters, I would change my recommendation primarily to change the fine amount to $100.
With that, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, that is all of the persons that we have. One more.
There's some,
One more.
there's one more.
That's Mr. Hager, correct? He is the treasurer for one of the hearing cases. Oh. And so, we can either go through, the group recommendations, get those done, and then get to the hearings. We have representatives present for at least some of the members for both of the hearings. And so we can get through this and then get to the hearings.
Okay.
And so back to page 1. The first item up is item number 64. I'm just recommending the matter be dismissed because the committee was declared terminated at the commission meeting of April 10.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. The next matter is dismiss the complaint and declare the committee terminated pursuant to Commission Advisory Opinion 97 ELC 04 as the candidate is deceased.
And this, I'm sorry.
I think that's Mr. Lyle.
So
Yeah.
moved, yes.
Is this 2025 R-0? Okay, we didn't get the number.
R-043.
Sorry about that. Thank
I'll
you.
second Mr. Lyle's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion passes 6-0.
The next matter is item number 46, case number 2025 R-271. I'm recommending that this matter be dismissed, as I think it was it was either at the previous meeting or the August meeting, where the commission consolidated all outstanding matters concerning this organization and imposed a fine of $500. And so with that finding, this would have been, because this was present at the time, this matter would have been included in that finding. So I'm recommending that we dismiss this case in particular.
So moved.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
For the next series of cases, Madam Chair, items number 37, 40, 52, 57, 58, and 61. Case numbers 2025 R-053, 265, 277, 282, 283, and 286. I'm recommending the commission find a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine or for the matter for the prosecution. All the reports have been filed in these matters. And responses have been submitted to the commission explaining the circumstances. And they're either within a short period of time prior to when the report at issue was due, or depending on the circumstances of a particular case, I'm recommending in good cause. I'm glad to answer any of the questions the commission may have.
Mr. Richter, I think you said for the first case, 053 instead of 073.
If I did.
So I just wanted to
Zero-
correct that.
It is 073. I thought I spoke
Okay.
correctly, but I could have tripped over my own lips.
That's okay. I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Is there a second?
Second. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next matter, Madam Chair, members of the commission, is item number
7.
Item number 7, case number 2025 R-015. My recommendation is to find the violation and impose a fine of $50. The report was filed. It was approximately 6 months late. A response was submitted that I've synopsized for you. This is the first time this gentleman has been before the commission. And so my recommendation again is find a violation and impose a fine of $50.
Any comments, discussion, questions for the executive director from the commission? There's a motion. Oh, there's a motion. There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next series of cases are under the category of finding a violation and imposing a $100 fine. Items 2, 6, 8, 25, and 41. Case numbers 2023 R-131. 2024R-477, 2025R-017, 054, and 266. The reports have been filed in these matters, and either a response was not received, or that on which I could make a better recommendation, or there are other prior matters that have come into play that lead me to impose a $100 fine. I'll be glad to answer the questions the commission may have.
Any questions from commission members?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next matter, Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next item number 45, case number 2025R-270. I'm recommending that we reconsider case number 2024R-041, vacate the previous finding in that case, consolidate all outstanding matters, find a violation, and impose a fine of $100. The report has been filed, a response was submitted to the commission, so based on that circumstance, I'm making this recommendation.
Mr. Richter, can you restate that case number again?
2025R-270.
270. Okay, thank you.
Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Motion, second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. The next series of recommendations is the under $50 fine category. Obviously, I'm recommending for a violation of post fine of $150. It's items number 27, 35, 53. Case numbers 2025R-059, 2025R-070, and 2025R-278. In these cases, Madam Chair, members of the commission, the reports have been filed. Just double checking. I think I got a response in any one of them. Just double checking that. Reports have been filed. There's at least one prior matter. No response has been submitted to the commission that gives me a further understanding of the circumstances. And so again, I'm making a recommendation that we find a violation and impose a fine of $150.
There a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next case is item number 29, case number 2025R-062. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $200. The report. I meant to put this in a different, in a lower category. I apologize. But anyway, regardless, the report has not been filed and no response has been submitted. If you're looking at the meeting agenda and you see the, about 7 stars down a little bit, everything below that are cases that, where the report has not been filed. I intended for this to be down there, and I made a mistake and put it up above. Sorry about that. But anyway, and under this set of circumstances, the report is filed, and based on previous recommendations from the commission and considering the commission's status for the end of the year, it was recommended that in lieu of imposing per diem fines, that another option be undertaken in this set of circumstances. Because the report has not been filed, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $200. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next series of cases, Madam Chair, is under the category of finding violation, imposing a fine of $250. Items number 5, 14, 36, and 36. Case numbers 2024R-450, 2025R-034, and 2025R-071. In these circumstances, the report has been filed. No response has been submitted to the commission. There are at least 2 prior violations. And so with the reports being filed, I'm I'm recommending the imposition of a specific fine. And so in this particular case, the fine amount that I'm recommending is $250. I'll be glad to answer the commission. Any other questions, the commission?
Any questions from commission members? Is there a motion to accept the executive director's
I'll move to adopt.
Second.
motion on the floor, properly second?
Was there a second?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next category is the finding of violation and position of $300 fine. Item number 26, case number 2025R-055. There are two prior matters in this for this respondent. The last finding, which was made in April 2022, commission found the violation, imposed a $150 fine. That fine has been paid. They're back again though. The report is approximately 10 months late. No response was submitted to the commission. And so my recommendation is to find the violation and impose a fine of $300.
Is there any questions for the executive director from commission members?
Move to adopt.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next category is item number 44, case number 2025R-269. The report has been filed, a response has been submitted. My recommendation is consolidating this case, 2025R-269 with 2025R-085, find a violation, impose a fine of $300. Doing the ICW, you can see there's a variety of cases that are outstanding. And so that's the basis for the recommendation. I've synopsized the response. You can see what the respondent said as it relates to this matter.
Any questions for the executive director? Comments?
Madam Chair, just one, Mr. Executive Director, you said that they have been filed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Do we have a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation?
Madam Chair, I'll move the Executive Director's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next item, Madam Chair, members of the commission, is case number 2025R-065, item number 31. My recommendation is to reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate the previous findings, consolidate all matters with this case, and impose a fine of $300. Mr. Boucher has come into compliance, finally filed all his reports, submitted a response that I've synopsized for you. He had a lengthy list of items outstanding. There have been some fines paid in the past, but there's nothing been done in about the last 5 years. And so that's the basis for my recommendation. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions the commission may have.
Any questions, from commission members? Is there a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes 6-0.
Now, we're going below the stars, and those stars were there to differentiate the other matters because in all of the following cases that we have before us here, the reports have not yet been filed. And as I said, based on previous direction from the commission, in lieu of imposing per diem fines, I'm recommending different fine levels depending on the number of prior matters pending before the commission, or if there are prior matters. And then also you'll see that in some cases, I'm recommending the commission declare the committee terminated. This is after consultation with staff at the board as it relates to how long these matters have been outstanding. There are a couple, and I think you would see them on page. I thought I highlighted them. I did not, but there are a couple where I've changed my recommendation and removed the request for termination based on input from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections that indicated those persons are continuing to run for a different office. And they indicated that a recommendation for termination would be improper. So anyway, the first category, is for the commission to find a violation, impose a fine of $200 and declare the committee terminated. Items number 4, 10, 11, case numbers 2024 R-410, 2025 R-025, and 2025 R-026.
I'll move to adopt.
There's a
Second.
motion, there's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next category is a $500 fine, item number 32, case number 2025 R-067. Again, reports have not been filed, there are priors, and so my recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $500.
Any comments, discussion from commission members? Is there a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next matter is item number 24, case 2025 R-053. My recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $500, and declare this committee terminated. I'll be glad to answer any questions the commission will get.
I'll move to adopt.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
The next case, Madam Chair, is item number 50, case number 2025 R-275. My recommendation is to consolidate this case, 2025 R-275, with case number 2025 R-234, find a violation and impose a fine of $500.
Any comment, question? Oh, go ahead.
As a side note, this is one of the ones that I recall from getting feedback from the Cuyahoga County Board of Election. This person is currently running for a position in Cuyahoga County.
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
There's a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes 6-0.
The next series of recommendations, Madam Chair, members of the commission, are for the commission to find a violation, impose a fine of $1,000 and declare the committee terminated. Items number 17, 19, and 20. Case numbers 2025 R-042, 2025 R-046, and 2025 R-047. The higher fine amount is due to the fact that there are more prior cases that are outstanding as it relates to these committees.
Thank you, Phil. I'll move to adopt.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstention? I'm sorry, any opposed? That motion passes 6-0.
That's case, Madam Chair, members of the commission, item number 59, case number 2025 R-284. I'm recommending the commission consolidate case number 2025 R-284 with case number 2025 R-229. Find a violation and impose a fine of $1,000.
Are there any questions or comments for the executive director regarding the case? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move adoption.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? That motion passes 6-0.
Next matter, Madam Chair, members of the commission, is item number 69, case number 2025 R-294. My recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $2,000. Again, considering the number of prior cases pending before this commission in which this committee has been involved, that's the basis for my fine recommendation.
Any question or conversation? Is there a motion to accept the executive director's recommendation? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I don't know who got it first.
Thought I heard Mr. Kirschner first.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I'll just first off state that the remaining recommendations all involve a $2,000 fine based on the number of prior matter for the commission. All of the cases also involve me recommending committees be terminated due to their length of time, primarily being outstanding before the Board of Elections and with approval from, or at least assent from the Board of Elections. The first is the recommendation that the commission find violation and impose a $2,000 fine and declare the committee terminated in the following cases. Items number 3, 9, 12, 13, 16, 23, 28, 30, 33, and 34. Case numbers 2024 R-291, 2025 R-019, 030, 032, 041, 051, 061, 064, 068, and 069. I'm glad to answer your other questions the commission may have.
Any questions?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Seconded.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Yeah.
That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, there are 3 items left and they all involve consolidating one case with another. Obviously, the cases aren't specifically related except to each other. And so I'm going to move items number 15, 55, 62, case numbers 2025 R-035, 2025 R-280, and 2025 R-287 at the same time, because my recommendation is to find a violation in those matters, consolidate those cases with prior matters, find a violation and impose a fine of $2,000 and declare the committees terminated.
Are there any questions or discussion from commission members?
I'll move to adopt the recommendation.
There's a motion and there is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion passes 6-0.
The remaining cases on the initial agenda, Madam Chair, you can continue. Will be items number 21, 47, 67, 38, 39, 48, 49, 51, 60, 63, 66, and 68. Case numbers 2025 R-287, 049, 272, 292, 262, 264, 273, 274, 276, 281, 285, 288, 291, and 293. And I'm recommending those be continued for various reasons.
Did you include 049?
If I didn't, I meant to 2025 R-049. I thought I did, but I didn't. So.
Those are continued.
The next item, Madam Chair, is a reconsideration case. Item number 72, case number 2023 R-512. I'm recommending the commission reconsider the matter, vacate the previous imposition of the per diem fine, and instead impose a fine of $150. With staff's efforts, we discovered that Ms. Autry had filed the reports. We reached out and indicated we would reconsider the matter on this day. No response was received. And so that's that's the reason for my recommendation in this case of a $150 fine.
I'll move to adopt.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the remaining items on the commission's agenda are 2 hearings. Hearing for case number 2025 R-001, which I would encourage we take first. And then items number 63, section 2. It's called Phil.
Mr. Richter,
Numbers and yes, go ahead.
we're actually going to take a 15-minute break on behalf of the commission and come back for the hearings.
That makes perfect sense now.
Okay, we will go into recess now.
Good.
Yes.
Eight at this point.
Eat. I'm gonna turn it off.
Does that help?
I didn't realize the bank was taking the money out, and all of a sudden I find out the bank was closed because the bank took all of like. That's one of the regular explanations that I used to get. I don't know. On a regular basis.
So you need to keep it open and just claim you're negative now.
Right. Passwords. Okay.
We don't have the link out. Your link out.
Right. In order to get this through.
No.
The Ohio Elections Commission meeting is being called back into order.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we have two hearings pending. The first hearing I'd like to call before the commission is case number 2025 R-001. It is a referral from the Knox County Board of Elections against Amber Keener, Friends of Amber Keener with Guy Hagan, treasurer. We have staff from the Knox County Board of Elections that is here. I'd ask them to come forward, please. And even though it says respondent, sit at the respondents table. We have Guy Hager on the line. He is here remotely. I'd ask for him to be sworn, to be prepared to testify or make any other statements that he might be inclined to make. From the Board of Election, we have Jim Blazer, who is the director of the Knox County Board of Elections. The primary issue in this case is there were some refunds made out of the campaign committee. We did receive an unnotarized statement at the preliminary review hearing from Ms. Keener, where part of her explanation was she made the refunds based on directions from the staff, Secretary of State's office. Commission decided to set this matter for hearing. Don't recall a specific amount, but I know that there were some fairly substantial amount of refunds that were made. This commission issued an advisory opinion. I should have come prepared to cite the specific advisory opinion. I'm not, but essentially I wrote it. And it essentially says, unless you are refunding monies based on a specifically allowable statutory provision, i.e. you accepted more money than campaign contribution limits would allow. You know, campaign contribution limits for statewide is now somewhere around, I think, $16,000. If you accepted, let's say, $20,000 from the individual during a period, the overage amount would have to be refunded. That was allowable. There were like two other provisions that allowed for refunds. But if you did not have a basis for doing that under the statute, you just wanted to simply give money back from your campaign committee to a contributor, the commission declared that that was an improper expenditure and could not be allowed. So that's the essential basis why we're here today as it relates to case number 2025 R-001. Certainly we could hear further from the Board of Elections staff. Like I said, Mr. Blazer is the director. He would be able to speak on behalf of the Board of Elections. He could be sworn and the commission could hear further from him. And then at the appropriate time, we could further hear from Mr. Hager as well.
Okay, Mr. Richter, just so that I'm following everything clearly, the Board of Elections is the complainant.
This is the referral that we received from the Knox County Board of Elections. That is correct. And I circulated all these materials to you originally back when the preliminary review was held at the beginning of this year, and then most recently last week when I recirculated the materials.
Okay, thank you. So we have the director here. What's the name again? I'm sorry.
Mr. Blazer. Mr.
Blazer, would you like to speak on behalf of the case?
Sure.
Okay, you would need to be sworn in and you can approach the.
Swear from to tell the truth.
Chair, my name is Jim Blazer. I'm the director at Knox County Board of Elections. The summary that we, as part of the complaint, really does the facts and the fact patterns that people are going with this. We work with
Ms. Diener on over several months to resolve the issue and reverse what has been done. And in fact, did ask for two different board of elections meetings, and she declined. I have with me our Deputy Director, Jack Goodman, who had actually had contact by phone with Ms. Keener. We tried to remedy the situation. The board heard it, and then they voted it unanimously to approach to the Elections Commission. So at that point, we got in touch with Mr. Richter and Chris, and that's when we submitted the document.
Okay, thank you. Would Mr. Goodman like to speak?
I'll do this. No,
No,
just respond to any question.
Okay, thank you. So next we should.
Yeah, we could have Mr. Hager address the commission. He should be sworn as well.
Mr. Hager, would you like to address the commission on behalf of the complaint?
Yes, please.
You need to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can proceed.
Thank you. In 2023, I served as treasurer for Friends of Amber Keener during her campaign for Ohio State Representative.
Mr.
part of my
Hager,
duty-
Mr.
Yeah.
Hager, I'm sorry, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, so just be a little slow as you're speaking.
Okay.
That should help.
Sorry. In 2023, I served as treasurer for Friends of Amber Keener in part of her campaign for Ohio State Representative. As part of that, we filed Form 31 Alpha and 31 Bravo. At the time of filing, all contributions were properly categorized as donations, and that was my last action as treasurer for this committee. Since that time, Amber Keener has filed all financial filings for the campaign, and I respectfully request that Amber Keener be contacted as the appropriate individual to respond to any allegations in the statement.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hagan. Would any commission members like to speak, have discussion, ask questions?
Madam Chair, I do have a question for the Board of Elections. You indicated, Mr. Director, that you had attempted to work out the disagreement with the candidate, but not able to work out this issue around the refunds.
That's correct.
Can you expand on that a little more?
Well, there were several phone calls also. We sent certified letters asking her to respond. And she then did an amended filing that then said that these were loans. But in the memo of the checks that were written out of the campaign account, it said return of donations. So we said we need some explanation to that. And we said we need you to come to the election meeting on two different occasions, and she decided not to.
And her treasurer, so no one attended on her behalf when she did not come, correct?
We spoke directly with her at that time. She was filing directly with us. The Mr. Hager's filings when he was treasurer was prior to.
Oh, prior. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may ask the director a question, please. So based on her statement, she basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, that she had talked with folks at the Secretary of State's office that basically said that she was allowed to do that. I know she's not here, so I'm trying to see what the position was. Do we have any idea? Did she share that with you guys? that she had talked with somebody at the Secretary of State's office?
She spoke directly with Deputy Director Goodman.
Yeah.
Mr. Goodman, would you like to come up? Could you come up, please?
Do I need these sworn in?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you.
You can proceed. Thank you.
So the series of conversations, we expressed our concern about the return of donations and them not being classified as loans before they were returned. That was sort of given to the candidate. And she had already been in contact with the Secretary of State's office on other issues. I encouraged her to, if she didn't like our interpretation, to reach out to them and see if they could provide something different or something that, disagree with us. We were fairly new at the process. We were sort of learning about campaign finance as we practiced the reviews. We were willing to be wrong, but we were told by the state that we were wrong. So she did reach out to the state. I'm not sure who she spoke to, but then she returned sort of on her next amended filing and presented all of those donations backdated as amended loans to the campaign from the previous year. And we did have a conversation with the Secretary of State's office after that, because we were concerned about that filing. And she said that she had spoken to the state and they had advised her that this was compliant. I would say that conversation went with the understanding that anything can be amended with the understanding that it must be amended to become compliant with the law and actual facts that had taken place. Was the state's sort of response of how their conversation, any circumstances go.
So did she ever provide you with the names of who she spoke to in the Secretary of State's office?
She did not, and the state didn't supply who had talked to her.
Did they say that she called, or
Yes, they did acknowledge that she had contacted her.
did they say that they advised her to amend the reports the way she's claiming?
They did not state that. They stated that they advise candidates to do, as I said, to amend for essentially to make them correct, lawful, and compliant.
The way that you all said to do it. Is that correct?
We felt that our recommendation was the lawful compliant
Okay.
pathway. Yes.
Yeah, it's difficult because she's not here. I'm trying to get, I'm not trying to act as her counsel. I'm just trying to understand what happened, because basically she's saying, I was advised by the Secretary of State to do this. It seems to me if I was going to do that personally, I would obviously get the name of the folks I was talking to. I jot it down and date it and say, this is what that's just, I think a reasonable person would do that, but she didn't provide any names, at least in her statement. And that's why I was asking you if you all had names of people she had talked to.
I can't be certain about those.
Oh, thank.
I'm Chair. So was this her campaign for council, state rep, or for county clerk, or?
So that is part of the series of issues trying to transition from the state rep campaign, which to a county treasurer campaign while she was a sitting city council member. And part of our initial amendment was a request that she file as the correct office that she was seeking with the campaign. But it transitioned quickly from state rep to sitting council member to county treasurer candidate, and then back to sitting council.
But what was she seeking with respect to the reports in question?
So those donations were made for the state rep at the time of that campaign.
And aren't the state rep donations, aren't those reports under the jurisdiction of the Secretary of State?
They are. Part of our issue with tracking this was that we didn't have easy access to those filings because they're filed with the state. And that was one of the things we initially requested, to see how the donations were sort of acting, if they really were loans or if they were simply contribution. We wanted those state filings so that we could confirm yes or no what their status.
Madam Chair, I had one more question for the assistant, if I may. I'm sorry, I have one more question for the assistant. So the total amount of money we're talking about is how much?
If I remember correctly, 5,000 in one donation,
Right.
1,000 in a donation, 500 and then 1,000 plus. So looking at around 8,000.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I have a couple of questions from members.
Are there any additional questions from commission members?
I do, Madam Chair.
Yes.
You were saying that we were learning. Do you mean that you and Ms. Heater or you, the staff of the Board of Elections? So we have an entirely new staff as of 2023. Running elections and overseeing campaign planning. So we will freely admit that we were new to this process. The 2024 primary election, which you sort of stumbled upon this, was our first sort of real endeavor at thoroughly reviewing and processing audited campaign plans. So essentially, all the campaigns that filed with us in that primary got a request to amend because we were being very sort of thorough in how we went through the process. Yes.
If I may, during this particular case, all along, as things developed, we referred and spoke with the county prosecutor. And so we were getting guidance from him along the way to make sure that we were interpreting what we thought was correct and the opinions that have been laid out before. Since neither one of us are attorneys, we wanted to make sure that we had sound footing when we made these requests. And certainly when we brought it before our board, the county prosecutor was aware of it and understood all the facts. And then when we made this referral, he also was aware of this.
Yeah, Commissioner Tavares.
Hey, thank you. Madam Chair, I guess, just following up on the candidate. I guess I don't understand why she isn't, I guess, here today. But have you had any recent conversation with the candidate on the disposition of this case?
No conversations with regard, once it went to the Elections Commission, other than she has made some filings, and she's requested to close her account. There's a problem that she has money in the account, and so she hasn't just dispersed that money, so it's difficult to close it. But we've not had any conversations since we made the
So
direct conversations. I don't believe.
yes.
You have?
Yes. So when the candidate came in to take out her petition for city council for the current election cycle, she had not been, I think, formally notified that there had been a referral. At that time, I did talk to her in my office, notify her of the referral. I did ask her to, or advise her to consider seeking legal counsel as she navigated this. Did ask her to take that.
So just a follow-up question, Madam Chair. So she's currently a candidate for city council in this election. Thank you.
She's also currently a sitting council person,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Question to say the director. I remember a case not long ago just like this. Is this the same case and it was continued to today or something? I remember this from before.
Well, we did have it at a preliminary review and we
That's what
decided
we're
something.
talking about. And she was here for that, right?
Correct. Yes, she was.
On video.
Video.
No, she was physically present, as I recall.
It was the black background, I believe, on the video.
Video. No, she wasn't present. Okay, my bad. I know she was present though. Madam Chair, I have a couple of questions. When the refunds were made though, they were made from her campaign finance account when it was at your office, correct? After she had transferred it back from the secretary's office?
That initial filing for the March primary was filed with us.
Right.
That's what contained some of those donations, yeah, so some of those return of the.
Because I was looking at the secretary's website and it looks like she filed her transfer back to your office in March of 2024, because I'm looking at that. So the refunds were made when it was at your office for your review.
Correct.
What is her current status in terms of both, timely filings, et cetera? And you said she had amounts outstanding. Do you recall what amount is still in her campaign finance account?
It is less than $1.
Less than $1. Okay.
Mr. Executive Director, to Mr. Knight's question, and correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection was that she appeared via Teams, made a number of statements about assurances from the Secretary of State's office, but wasn't able to point specifically to conversations or no emails, no confirmations or otherwise. Gave us some pause, and for that reason, we moved it on to a full hearing. That's my recollection.
I don't specifically recall, I'm not recall. I know she talked to the commission, let's put it that way.
Okay.
My recollection was she was physically present, but I could certainly be wrong with that. But I know we heard from her at that time. And after considering what was said to us and the response that was submitted, the commission decided to go ahead and set the matter for hearing. So here we are today.
Okay.
Just for the record, Commissioner Kirschner, I recall exactly what you recall, that she was present on video.
I asked a series of questions about proof, evidence, documentation. That didn't exist, so we set the matter for hearing.
Correct. That's
My
right.
recollections, that part I recall.
And Mr. Richter, Madam Chair, Mr. Richter, have you had any conversations with
No,
the candidate?
no.
So she was fully aware that we were having this hearing.
We sent out notice. Obviously, Mr. Hager is present, as the treasurer, the board sent out notice as it relates to having this matter heard today. Correct.
And she didn't acknowledge it at all.
I have not had any other contacts.
Since the preliminary review.
Correct.
So my question would be to Mr. Hager as the current treasurer. Have you had discussion with her regarding today's hearing?
In clarification, I am not her current treasurer. I haven't served since 2023. The last conversation I had with Amber on this matter was when I received notification of the Board of Election complaint. I asked her if she was aware of it. And that's our last conversation on the matter.
So you are no longer listed as the treasurer on any of her campaign committees?
That's correct. She's taken over as treasurer in 2024.
Do we have the exact date of when she became her treasurer?
So at first, because this came about because she was late on the filing for the March primary. And she had called into our office, I think, to see if it's been filed. It did not. At that point, I advised her to make herself deputy treasurer so she could come in and file. I think she had concerns about Mr. Hager knowing about the deadlines and filing. So she would take it on and make sure that it was timed.
So we have a designation of treasurer formed since that time that made her the treasurer and took Mr. Hager off of the.
So do you know what date that was?
Yeah.
It's just so many campaign committees. I'm trying to keep track and.
I can tell you that on April 29th, 2024, Form 30A was filed. It listed me as a treasurer, but she signed. I was in Europe. And on June 13th, 2024, she filed and listed herself as treasurer.
So officially, June 13th of 2024, she became treasurer and you were no longer listed on any of her campaign committee accounts as treasurer.
I had no action as treasurer since filing in 2023.
Since 2023, but had you been removed as a treasurer prior to June 13th of 2024?
Not that I was notified. She
So
contacted me
officially-
when I was in Europe in April about the filing. She filed that one. And signed that one, the April 29th, 2024. And the June 13th, she actually listed herself as treasurer and signed that. I was not copied on any of these documents.
So the official transition would have been June of 2024. Although you had not filed anything, technically, the official date that this document was submitted to the Knox County Board of Election was June 13th of 2024 for her to become the treasurer. Which means she was no longer her deputy treasurer.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Executive Director, is the address that we send our stuff to 702 East High Street?
Yes.
And is that, your knowledge, is that, what is that 702 East High Street, 702?
As I sit here, it's the address that we're provided by the Board of Elections.
I'm sorry, I'm asking the Assistant Director, do you know?
702 East High Street. I don't know. I believe that's her home.
Her home, okay.
Is there any further discussion from commission members?
Just as a side note, I mean, I'm going through, some of the documents in the rather lengthy complaint, Mr. Stoutberg, and there is a letter, May 16th, 2024, from the board to Friends of Amber Keener, care of Amber Keener at 702 East High Street.
Commission members?
I'm willing to make a motion unless there's any further discussion.
Is there any further discussion?
Just saying.
Given the facts and circumstances, if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to find a violation and issue a $1,000 fine in this matter.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I think we should do a roll call vote.
So $1,000 fine is to the committee? Or to the treasurer? Who's getting fined?
Yeah, well, right now, who we have before us, Mr. Knight, is the Friends of Amber Keener candidate, and Mr. Hager as the treasurer, because that's who was referred to us by the Knox County Board of Elections. So the fine that we impose will be joint and several. It will include all of those individual, the committee and the two individuals. Certainly, if the commission, based on the testimony that's been provided today, wanted to excuse anyone, either the committee, Ms. Keener, or Mr. Hager, because of the circumstances that have been disclosed, I would certainly understand that.
I'm certainly not.
For the purposes of,
What's that?
well, I want to clarify the motion. For the purposes of the motion, it'd just be against the campaign and not, it would exclude Mr. Hager based upon the hearing testimony.
So just the committee and the candidate.
Correct.
So Madam Chair, on the first motion,
Where are
I
you?
will withdraw my second,
Okay, so
okay? And then,
Then that is, the new motion is the final, make the finding against. the
right, but I
committee.
mean, we have
Candidate.
to withdraw the first motion.
Right, okay.
So this will be a finding just against Ms. Kerner and not not Mr. Hager.
Mr. Lyle, I'll let you make the motion just so it's clean.
No, you go ahead, you're done.
So we would exclude Mr. Hager, make the motion as it concerns Ms. Keener and the campaign, finding a violation and $1,000 fine.
And I'll second that motion.
So the motion that's on the floor is that we fine Ms. Keener and her campaign committee $1,000, that we remove former treasurer, Mr. Hagan.
Hager.
Correct.
Hagan?
Hager.
Hager, I'm saying Hagan. Okay.
We'll dismiss Mr. Hager.
We will dismiss Mr. Hager. There's a motion, there's a second. Can we do a roll call vote,
Yes,
please?
we can do a roll. Give me 1 second here. Ms. Tavares,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Mr. Stoutberg,
No.
no. Mr. Lyle,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes,
That motion passes 5-1.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hager.
Can we dismiss him?
Thank you.
I think that was considered a part
Well,
of
that was a
the,
part of the
that was considered a part of the motion by Mr. Kirschner.
That passed 5-1, right?
Yes, that passed 5-1.
Thank you, Knox County.
The next matter for the commission's consideration, Madam Chair, is the consolidated cases of 2024 R-386 and 2024 G-028. One is a referral from the Trumbull County Board of Elections against a variety of committees and individuals, Regina McManus, TCR Grassroots. I should be looking at my materials and not blathering on. Trumbull Cigar Club. Jason Minor. Those were some of the per individuals and committees. TCR Grassroots, Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club, Regina McManus, McManus Strategy Group, Jason Minor, that was the board referral. And then in case number 2024 G-028, the complaint submitted by Malia Campbell. And the Republican Party involved Regina McManus, TCR Grassroots, PAC, Trumbull County Presidential Cigar, Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club. So those are the respondents that we have before us. It doesn't appear that there's anybody here from the Board of Elections, although I could be wrong about that. But Ms. Campbell, on behalf of the Republican Party and the complainant is present. We received a series of, there were responses filed at the preliminary review stage before we decided to set this matter for hearing. I circulated all of those to you at the preliminary review stage, as well as last week in anticipation of this. Yesterday, we received a series of affidavits and a statement from Ms. McManus. That all has been circulated to you as well. I'm talking to Mr. Hughes. My understanding is Ms. McManus is remotely here. And so I think in a manner or in an effort to promptly resolve the matter today, I would encourage us to go forward and hear from the parties and make a finding. I'll be glad to answer any questions the commission may have.
So my question is, who do we have online? We have
Respondent Ms. McManus.
Ms. McManus. Okay.
We need her to actually appear.
Yeah, she has to be on camera.
Yeah.
Ms. McManus, can you get on camera? If you'd like to represent yourself today. If not, you will not be able to speak.
He appears to be on mute. Wow.
If you can hear me, can you come off mute and acknowledge how you plan to, what you would like to do to proceed forward? If you can't speak, are you able to type in the chat? If you're here just as a spectator, if you actually want to speak on behalf of the case. See that for a second. You have a response, Chris?
I think Chris is going to reach out at this point. We'll see. anything that was all from the chair's response. That number.
I'm going to give her about another minute. If we don't get a response, we're going to proceed without her being present.
She's been on this whole time.
No, she came on during. So she was.
Any interaction with her?
No. Other than just the messages.
So as a one last effort, if you do plan and would like to proceed, maybe you could go out of the meeting and come back. There may be a bad connection, you're not able to chat. If that doesn't happen, then we're going to proceed forward. I'm going to take that as she's not going to participate in the hearing today.
Madam Chair, I'd suggest we take a picture of the screen just for the record.
Mr. Richter, would you like to? I think you could do.
Recording, just to say that we've given her every,
Pick it up, Chris.
you've given her every opportunity.
And then we have a written communication that Chris sent
All
over.
right.
So, okay, we're going to proceed forward. And so before us, you've named everyone that's here. I don't remember. So the complaint.
And I guess it would be for Ms. Campbell to make a presentation to the commission.
Okay, Ms. Campbell, if you can come to the podium and be sworn in, please. But these are exhibits for us.
Chris, when we got to that, I have not really looked at that.
Is it one for each?
Good morning.
No, there'll be just one file.
So in September of 2024, I was here to represent the Trumbull County Republican Party and the Trumbull County Board of Elections. I would like to note that with me here today is the chairman of the Trumbull County Board of Elections, Mark Alberini, the first vice chair of the Republican Party, James Dunlap, and the former chairman of the GOP, the Trumbull County Republican Party, Mike Polis. So when these complaints were filed, I was filing this in connection with the Trumbull County Republican Party. These complaints were filed against Regina McManus and fraudulent PAC that was created before the primary of 2024. I also brought to light in my original complaint the other organizations where she collects money under the guise of 4 candidates, although the candidates never received the money, and that's according to their campaign finance reports, which I do have with.
She was.
Okay, I thought about
I come here today to offer you documents as evidence of election fraud, campaign finance violations, and apparent theft of the public's money for personal gain. Regina McManus has interfered in politics for many years now, trying to make a name for herself. Because of the lack of complaints filed against her, it's given her an ability to carry on and because there's been no complaints up until now, she's just gotten bolder because there's no fear of repercussions. In fact, it was said that she will not attend these hearings because why bother for a $50 fine? The more she gets away with, the bolder she gets. I will show you evidence today that McManus attempted to influence voters with a fraudulent slate card mailed to voters under a PAC that did not exist. The PAC did not become registered until March 11th, when she was called out publicly and then attempted to file it and backdate it. I will show you evidence that the PAC also wasn't registered with the Secretary of State until months later. In fact, the PAC to this day is not registered with the Trumbull County Board of Elections. In addition to this PAC, McManus has for years been operating a group called the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club. She's held events for over 8 years, going on 9, collecting money from the public. She's advertised some of her events with the proceeds going for specific candidates, but no money ever did. And nothing was ever claimed on campaign finance reports for any of these candidates for the money that she received from these events. The only expenditures that have ever turned up on campaign finance reports were for candidates who she attended their fundraisers and then used the Trumbull County Cigar Club to pay for it, for herself to attend. However, there's a problem with that because Trumbull County Cigar Club is an LLC, and an LLC cannot be a PCE. So illegal. McManus also rented an office, same address as the PAC, calls it the Republican candidate headquarters. I remind you that the Secretary of State does not allow for shadow or duplicate parties inside of a county. However, finding merit to this, my complaint from the Secretary of State on behalf of the Republican Party was referred back to you instead of them taking action. Per 35 ORC 351711, PACs are not permitted to coordinate it with individual candidates or their campaigns. Yet McManus, clearly the campaign manager of several candidates and registered owner of this PAC, coordinated with many candidates during the 2024 election cycle. Only one candidate, Rick Hernandez, mentions in his finance report, excuse me, that he received $500 of an in-kind contribution from McManus. No cash, no monetary value, except $500 of in-kind. Since no action was taken at the initial hearing back in September, McManus doubled down with fraudulent slate cards again. But this time she didn't use the TCR grassroots PAC. She knew the investigation wasn't over. Instead, she took copies of the actual Trumbull County Republican Party slate cards that we paid over $20,000 for. And she photoshopped them and put them in her friends in. Then she took them to the Trumbull County Board of Elections during early voting. We have pictures. And was handing them out to people. Okay, but this time we didn't put the grassroots on it because that group's already been acknowledged and there's a problem. But she's holding a sign while she's passing these out, and you will see this in the exhibits. This says Republican sample ballots. Okay, this is fraud. This is definitely fraud. In a desperate attempt to make this complaint go away, Virginia recruited someone to run for GOP chair to take over the party when Mr. Bullock's retired. So that once that person was elected, they could get this complaint dismissed because it was on behalf of the Republican Party. So in January, the new chairman of the Republican Party held an executive committee meeting and asked the committee to make a resolution to dismiss the complaint. They voted her down 28-11, and I have the minutes with me to show. The actual Republican Party Executive Committee voted to continue this complaint because we needed stuff. Why are these people working so hard to try to get this dismissed? After the vote of the Executive Committee, the new chairman, Julia Shutt, sent Attorney Richter a letter telling him to dismiss the complaint for the Republican Party. Didn't send any copies of the notes. She even went as far as to fire the attorneys that were hired by Mr. Bolus to represent the GOP. This is all in an effort to make all of this go away. I then sent a letter to Attorney Richter asking for Julia Shutt to have criminal charges pressed against her for interfering with the hearing, with evidence, and falsification. I'm going to show supporting documents and evidence today with hopes that after all these years, action will be taken for legal and campaign finance infractions, election interference, fraud, and obstruction. We hope that the Trumbull County elections can become free and fair elections again. I noticed that I was presented today, shortly after I got here, that Attorney Richter received this, I believe, yesterday. I never saw it. And she's telling you now that they've changed the treasurer. She's no longer every officer in this pack. She's changed it over to her sidekick, Jason Minor. So, it's not. So,
We can hear.
so I do not have an opportunity to cross-examine these people. I'm going to ask you to set these aside and not be considered, because basically all that they are documents that say I wasn't nice, and I don't think there's anything illegal about that. But I'm going to ask that those be completely set aside, since I don't have an opportunity to cross-examine these people. So with that, I also noticed that in that letter that she sent, said she couldn't be here, but she's here, and asked for this case to be set in January, clearly knowing that this commission ceases to exist January 1st. So if I may, I am going to start to show you exhibits. Oh, you gave him this letter. This is the other side. I provided you with exhibits. I have 2 more copies. I don't know how you want to.
Oh, that would be helpful. Then they can keep one.
So maybe they could keep one down here.
I'll pass this one and I'll take it.
No worries. That's more.
Yeah.
Right.
There's 3, so.
And just so you know, I will be calling witnesses. Chairman Alberini, Vice Chair of the GOP, James Dunlap, and possibly Mr. Bolus, former chair.
I will just say, if you refer to any exhibit, please state which one so that we can, follow along.
So, exhibit 1. I've been made aware of the fraudulent slave cards. I contacted the Board of Elections to find out who was picking up these labels. The following was sent to me, which is attached to that letter there. I sent a letter to the Central and Executive Committee telling them to please disregard that slate card that went out. We checked the Board of Elections. We checked the Secretary of State site. There was no registration for this batch. And so in my letter, which you have there, I stated that this is a fraudulent PAC. This does not exist. Please disregard. That night, you'll see it exhibit 2. Later that night,
Is there a specific page for exhibit 2?
Is it first page of exhibit 2. Later that night, after my email went out to the central and executive committees, then people were sharing it on social media. They were already aware that I had checked the Board of Elections and that we checked the Secretary of State's office and it didn't exist. In order to comply, the only thing they could do was go to the FEC. So they go to the Federal Elections Commission to file to try and circumvent the fact that they were illegitimate. And you'll see right on front page of exhibit 2, they attempted to backdate it to February 1st.
Number 2.
I might note too that this was filed for her by an attorney who was one of her candidates running for judge. Okay. So the plot. This exhibit 2, also includes campaign finance filing that were being filed after demand letters to McManus. You'll note that the only contribution to this PAC is claimed by McManus herself. The only expenditures are by McManus herself. And it clearly appears that this is being done as a way to cover the tracks. Because you'll note that there are several letters in there from the FEC demanding that they file campaign finance reports. And no reports were filed until after they received those letters. She received those letters. I want you to also keep in mind while you're looking at exhibit 2. She's renting an office space on High Street in Warren. Where's rent? Where's the utilities? Where's the internet? Where are all the other expenses that come along with renting a space? Nothing appears on these finance reports. So where is this coming from? Number 3, exhibit 3. This is the actual photo that someone sent me on March 11th with the address of the voter that received it. In the email asking me what the heck is this? And who are these people? This is when it started to come to light for us. Both with the GOP and with the Board of Elections. So you'll notice on this, there's no return address, which is required by law. And in exhibit 1, you will see that they started collecting these labels. This right before early voting started. So this had already been going on for over a month by the time we became aware of it. During our September hearing, I wanted to add too that I was listening in, and Jason Miner showed up at our board meeting to come in and say that he listened to the meeting. And the commission said, I'm allowed to pick up all the labels they want. He came to our board meeting just to tell us that. So there are some people, Republicans, that were left off with this. So we go to exhibit 4. Yes, my attorney just pointed out to me that one of the candidates on the state select board is a Democrat. So going on to exhibit 4, this is the TC grassroots PAC. I wanted you to see that she is every officer of this PAC. She is president, vice president, custodian of the records, treasurer. This is all one person. And I want you to also notice that most of the fundraising events that were held were 8 years prior to this. So they're not included in this PAC. If you guys have questions, just let me know. So exhibit 5. Here we have.
Ms. Campbell, I do have a question. You
Sure.
said that one of the candidates in exhibit 3 is a Democrat. Who is that
Yes.
specifically?
Actually, there's 2 that were actual Democrats at the time this was printed. One was David DeCristofaro. And the other one was Shelley Pratt, I believe, was also a Democrat at the time of this printing.
Thank you.
They're not this. They switched pretty. So under exhibit 5, this is the registration for the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club. And this, again, is an LLC listed at her home, where she is every agent involved in this organization also. We'll point out that in none of the financial documents are there any banks listed. Also want to point out that this has been going on since 2018. And you will see in your packet where she used the money from this club with no financial records, an LLC, to contribute to state candidate funds in her name for her to attempt. So that
Which
again,
exhibit again? I'm sorry.
okay, so it's this page, the long one.
Which exhibit though?
It's exhibit 5.
5.
This
This is a page.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So this is an LLC acting as a PCE. Really, what she's doing is taking the public's money and using it to her own benefit. And honestly, I wanted to subpoena financial documents, but I did not get the notice for this hearing in time to do so. Exhibit 6. So this, you're going to see a series of pictures. McManus has been the campaign manager for several candidates for running their campaigns out of the PAC office, which is also Republican candidate headquarters, which is also McManus Strategies. McManus Strategies doesn't exist. It's never been registered. Under section 351711, coordinating and electioneering is not permitted from a PAC, and communications such as slate cards are considered an in-kind contribution. Not one candidate claimed it because she told them they didn't have to. Further, coordination exists when the communication is paid for someone other than the candidate's campaign, which this slate card was. The communication mentions a clearly identified candidate, which it does, and there is interaction between the person paying for the communication and the candidate's campaign. And so where it is, you will see in these pictures. The first one is the commissioner candidate who got the $500 in-kind donation. Second picture is the judicial candidate who filed her PAC for her Third one is just about everyone who was in a fight in the papers they filed yesterday. So you can see that this is a PAC headquarters running a duplicate Republican Party, a cigar club, McManus Strategies, all out of one business, illegal. So there are plenty pictures there. There's also some advertisements where she's having events at her building, at her office. Complimentary food, complimentary bands, everything complimentary. Where's this money coming from? Who's paying for all this? Oh, true. And on the very first page, Regina McManus, my campaign manager. So here he is telling you. And at a PAC headquarters with my campaign manager, who also is present for the PAC. Exhibit 7. This is a complaint, and I'll ask Mr. Alberini to join in with me on this one. Exhibit 7 is one of the complaints that we received at the Board of Elections regarding this PAC. This person did attach pictures with the phony slate card, pictures of her passing out the phony slate cards with something advertising it as Republican sample ballot, putting signs in at the Board of Elections, flagging people down. And I will tell you, and Mr. Alberini can verify, that our staff, our directors, deputy directors, had to go out to the parking lot during early voting. Keep in mind, this was a presidential year. We had people lined up all the way around the building. They had to keep going and telling her to stop approaching people in line, stay outside the cones. She refused to listen. They went out 3 times to tell her to get away from people. Mr. Alberini, would you like to comment on? Oh, I can't do that. Yeah. Okay.
Ms. Campbell, if I may, I don't believe you introduced your attorney. Could we have his name just for the
My
record?
name is Judge Thomas Campbell. I'm her husband, and I'm principally here for moral support
Okay.
and trying to keep her on path.
Okay, all right. But you're actually acting as their attorney, so.
Yes.
Advice. Okay, just wanted to know for the record. Okay.
Are you currently an elected judge?
I am
Which,
county court, Trumbull County Central District Court, is a county court, and a part-time judge allowed to practice law. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
So, number 7, going back to number 7, the complaint received. This is just one of the complaints we received at the Board of Election. We received many verbal complaints, telephone complaints. Department of Justice, there's a section called PIN, which is Electronic Crimes Branch. Specifically states that an FEC PAC is not allowed to coordinate directly with any candidate or political party. In the photos, you see her doing that. So I just want to make sure we're aware of that. Exhibit 8 is McManus' other claim to fame, which is McManus Strategies. And you'll see the pictures here in the PAC office with candidates and her sign McManus Strategies on the wall. And again, there is no record of this anywhere. The Secretary of State. Exhibit 9 is going to show you various news articles. When these complaints were filed by the GOP and by the Trumbull County Board of Elections, naturally we were contacted by the media. I wanted you to see her responses to these. Mr. Alberini responded, I responded, for the GOP. According to Ms. McManus, we're just suppressing her freedom of speech, her First Amendment right. And she's going to fight this vigorously, to prove that there's no merit to any of this. So I wanted you to be able to see her statements in the paper, the director of the Board of Elections, Mr. Alberini's, myself. What we've tried to do with all of this is to put a stop to all this illegal election interference. If regular candidates have to fly, regular people should. That's why it's good. So now we're on to Exhibit 10. So after filing the complaint, because the complaint is still pending, now we're going to change the way we do things again. So her good friend, who owns a winery, the Green Eagle Winery, let her have a Christmas party there where he'll collect all the money. It'll all be made up to him. Who paid for the band? Who paid for the food? Who paid for the wines? Who paid for the prizes? Okay, no record. Again, there's always a way to pull something off. And this is all because there are complaints pending against her. So you'll see where she's got a picture here telling them to pay directly to Green Eagle Winery. And because nothing was done about what she did in the primary, now we go on to, this is the slate card that the Trumbull County Board of Elections put out.
Is this what we have a copy of in the exhibit?
Yes.
Okay.
Or now, Trumbull County GOP.
You said Board of Elections.
Sorry. Trumbull County GOP put this slate card out. We were sending this, we mailed this to 60,000 households. So what they did this time was they took our slate card, made a copy of it, removed the candidates they didn't like, and put 2 Democrats on there. They put Democrat opponents of the Republicans on there. And this time we're going to say endorsed by Trumbull County conservatives. See, anytime you find a way and you find a violation, they just find another way to go around it because the laws do not apply to them. Her candidate, Rick Hernandez.
Go ahead.
Her candidate, Rick Hernandez, was doing a video of how hard Regina was working for him at the Board of Elections. And here you see the people lined up to vote. And there's her with her Republican sign, Republican sample ballots, passing out the phony slate cards again.
Ms. Campbell, I'm just gonna have you go back to the podium.
Okay. So these were all pictures taken with the second fraudulent slate card. Okay, so these I did not give to you, but I'm gonna show them to you right now.
So you have something else you want to enter into?
Yes.
Okay.
So this, I'll mark it as exhibit 11, but I only have the one copy. And it's only because these were made late. What I wanted you to see is exactly what we're dealing with in Trumbull County. This exhibit is going to show you what this is all about, what this case is all about. This is Regina going back. This is her Facebook post. because that's what this is about. It's about making a name for herself. Okay, it's about collecting money for herself. Here I have another one that says if people were not bashing me, that would make me irrelevant. Shout out to all my haters. Okay, this is right in our face. There's no greater compliment than living in someone's head 24/7. Keep it up, haters. I love it. Here's one that was just posted, 2 days ago? I'm truly honored that Marlia Campbell has seen fit to acknowledge my endeavors, as I believe her praise is more generous than I deserve. Thank you, Marlia, for your gracious remarks and for recognizing my impact in Trumbull County. I am deeply humbled to be associated with this distinction, and I'll continue to strive towards achieving Republican victories in this county. I truly believe that with a lot of effort and determination on your part, you could bring success like what I've achieved. Okay, this is all just in your face. I'm going to torment you because you filed a complaint. Here's another one at her headquarters. This girl is on fire. When people are jealous of you and your accomplishments, they'll try everything to take you down. And then there's some other ones here where you can see what the public is saying on social media. If she's involved, don't vote for them. So I'm going to submit this as the Exhibit 11, and I'll ask you guys to share. So being that that's the end of the exhibits that I have, I do have a summation. I'm going to ask to call Chairman Alberini from the Trumbull County Board of Elections. So he can kind of back up what I'm saying about the complaints that we get from the public, from candidates, both sides of the aisle, because these types of things aren't fair to either of them.
If you want him to testify, you can certainly do so. You would need to call him, he would be sworn, and you can ask him a question.
That's what I want to do.
So we're gonna have him at the witness.
Yeah, why don't you go and sit over here, please? And just make sure you click the button on for the microphone. Sure. It should turn green for you.
Should I go ahead? Well, I appreciate everybody being here today to hear our concerns around this, what we suspect to be a fictitious PAC. As Marlia Campbell said, I am the chairman of the Board of Elections in Trumbull County. When this was presented to us in a bipartisan fashion, our board voted unanimously to, first of all, contact the prosecutor's office for guidance. And they did provide that guidance, which included forwarding this on to the OEC, the FEC, and the Secretary of State for further review. We didn't want to be a board that was presented with such serious allegations, backed up by a voluminous amount of evidence, and push back and say, well, you need to file yourself personally with the OEC, because I don't think it's a common practice for a board to actually, collectively present something to a commission like this. But upon the guidance of the prosecutor's office, we did send it on for further review. I was proud of the unanimous position that the board took, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, in the spirit of good government, open, fair elections, things that campaign finance, according to the letter of the law. And so I'm here just to back up what Ms. Campbell has testified today as being the facts as I know them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have questions now, Ms. Campbell?
I do.
for the witness?
Mark, can you tell them about the repercussions that we started to feel as a board because of our trying to decide whether or not to file this complaint?
Well, we were put in an awkward situation because, we're funded by the Trumbull County Commissioners. They hold our purse strings. They're mandated by, albeit they're mandated by law to fund elections. But we got pressure from at the county level. We got pressure from on political sides that I would even say, in a threatening type manner, like, you can't do this. You're out of your element. You're going to get sued. We're going to litigate against you. So those type of things. It was a little bit of fear and intimidation, but we just proceeded.
So with there's one particular commissioner, Denny Malloy, that Regina McManus ran his campaign. Still very close with him. Was there any opposition to us as a board and to our budget specifically from him, or was it from all three commissioners?
Well, when we submitted our 2025 budget to the Trumbull County Commissioners, Mr. Malloy did push back, did cut our budget by, I think it might have been by 30%. Don't quote me on that, but it was an enormous amount. We requested just over $2 million. We come within 1% of our operating budget the last 2 years. We know what we're doing when it comes to running elections, how much it costs. So we went in very frivolously and asked for only what we needed. And it was cut down to 1.4 million from 2 million. And I think there is a correlation between what we were initially given and the situation that you've been hearing about. Since we have gotten more monies to fund two full elections, we haven't gotten everything that we've asked for. But I do believe personally that there were some ties and some retaliatory tactics taken as a little bit of punishment for just doing what we thought was right thing to do, referring us on to your commission for further.
Mr. Alberini, do you recall during our meeting, we used to have phone calling where people could call in and ask us questions. Do you recall getting a call, very boisterous call from Commissioner Malloy regarding this?
I do.
And that it was somewhat threatening nature?
I would agree with that. And the minutes in our board meeting would reflect that.
Okay. Do you feel today, as we're here, that this is serious enough to warrant something seriously being done?
I wouldn't have gotten in my car and driven 3 hours to be here today if I didn't think it was serious enough. I wouldn't, as a voting member of that board, voted along with my three counterparts if I didn't think that this wanted more attention. I mean, you have to follow the money. You have to be able to account for your money. We're all about transparency in government and good government. If we failed the electors to elevate this, we would be doing a disservice.
All right. That's all I have with this.
Okay.
Thank you.
For that.
You want to rest?
No, I have such a question for the witness, if you don't mind.
Okay, commissioners, you rest now, correct? Okay.
I have one more witness.
Oh, one more witness, but
So in regards to the 30% cut to your budget, I apologize, I'm not at all familiar with the overall purview of the Trumbull County Commissioners, but were there similar cuts to other groups? Yeah. Was it, did across the board cuts, or was it singular or near singular to?
No, I appreciate your question. It's a great question. No, there were across the board cuts. They were in a frenzy to cut everybody's budget, to ask everybody to cut their budgets. However, And I think there was a spreadsheet that I presented at the Trumbull County Board of Election, at the Trumbull County Commissioners meeting, where I visually demonstrated how out of skew, how they cherry picked our board out and applied a 30% reduction compared to everybody else's single digit, sometimes larger, but nothing remotely close to 30%. So we were singled out.
Thank you. And how many members are there in the Trumbull County Commissioners?
There's 3 commissioners.
And did they vote unanimously for this?
They-
Is this part of like this
Yeah.
singular vote, or they vote for an entire budget across all their purview at once?
You'd have to, I mean, that's really a question for them. I mean, it's my understanding that they approve the budgets. All the directors, all the department heads present their budgets. They're asked to trim their budgets. They go to the commissioners. They finalize what the budget that they want to vote on is. And then it's a vote. Denny Malloy is an incumbent commissioner, the only one. The other 2 were brand new electors, elected officials. They hadn't gone through a budget cycle or anything like that. So Mr. Malloy was I think the experienced one that I think just naturally was the main point of contact.
Last question. You mentioned a call from Mr. Commissioner Malloy. Are you comfortable sharing a little more detail on what the threats were?
It was more of a tone. It was more of a tone, especially when they called in on a public line at the Board of Elections meeting. So you could go back and refer back to the minutes on that. But it was a threatening tone. It was about, the insinuation was this was a frivolous, not a lawsuit, but a complaint. Yeah, a complaint. Just things along those lines. It was clear that there was intention to kind of rattle us. You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kind of along those lines, you mentioned fear and intimidation in proceeding with this process. But I'd like you to be specific.
Mhm.
So other than the one item that you mentioned, what else led to the fear and intimidation, or was that the only item?
I think it was, well, you're referring to the budget?
You said at the outset, prior to the budget, according to my notes, that there was some fear and intimidation implemented that you experienced as it relates to simply the filing of this complaint or going forward with these proceedings.
I believe that I actually had a one-on-one phone call with Mr. Malloy into this regard.
So the fear and intimidation only relates to Commissioner Malloy?
Yes, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay. So then what else happened?
Nothing. We just had that conversation on the phone and he says, something along the lines of, you better know what you're doing. This is
Was this a second phone call?
No, this was one phone call.
Same phone call.
Yeah.
I just wanted.
There was only one.
You had the general reference. I wanted to make sure we had kind of narrowed the universe. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions from commission members for the witness?
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last question. Mr. Alberini, would you say that later when we return for budget hearings, when the commissioners were reconsidering everybody's budgets, when you made your presentation, the 3 commissioners that were there, of the 3, which I'd like you to name, which ones gave you trouble with that hearing?
And I presented multiple times at the request of the commissioners to attend the workshop, to attend the regular meeting, to further justify, the budget that we put in. And constantly, every time I would appear and present, I got pushback from Commissioner Denny Malloy. Just things, allegations, unsubstantiated allegations like, oh, well, this county does it for this much. Why can't you do it for this much? Or publicly misrepresenting situations around changing employees' compensation plans from one that was a salary or hourly, but eligible for overtime. We changed that to, in the spirit of eliminating peaks and valleys to help them budget better in a more predictable fashion. We put them on a straight salary, not eligible for overtime. And so you gave them raises in X amount of dollars, $20,000 raises. The number always changed. That wasn't the case, and he wasn't. He was looking at the hourly wage with overtime, but he wasn't calculating the overtime compared to the hourly wage when they were on a salary, and that looks very disparate. That looks like a huge raise, but when you calculate in the overtime, it wasn't really. So Commissioners Hernandez and Commissioner Tony Bernard, the other two commissioners, I found them to be attentive. I found them to be listening. Keep in mind, I said that they were newly elected officials. This was their first budget cycle, so they were probably using it as a learning experience as well. I appreciated their listening. I could tell they were contemplating what I was saying. Then they offered up their thoughts on the whole matter in a very conscientious, professional manner.
I have nothing else for Mr. Alberti if you don't.
Thank you once again.
Follow up to that. In prior budget presentations, was that inconsistent? Modus operandi for Mr. Malloy in a budget session, or any historically prior budget discussions been less combative?
This was completely, I don't want to say out of character, but this was different. This was different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a question for the witness as well.
Yes.
There's allegations that the PAC was operating in February prior to its registration, I think in March. What is that? What am I looking for as far as evidence of that operation in February?
I can only attest to, I think we'd have to defer to Mrs. Campbell. I can only defer to the when we received the complaint from a citizen with all their supporting evidence, and we dealt with it as a board. I'm not sure if I understand your question.
What was going on in February of 2024 before the PAC was registered?
I don't know.
I can take that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
In Exhibit 1, the accompanying documentation shows that they were already picking up the labels for the fraudulent slate cards starting on February 20th. Exhibit 1, page 3.
I think I got wrong.
Yeah, that's exhibit 11. I think.
That's what you're 11, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to share that now.
Yeah, one has the American flag on it. You want it?
Yes.
Here's a copy. Peter, want to see that?
They have.
Oh, they have a copy? No.
He has a.
It's Exhibit 1, page 3.
Okay.
Is there a pending question?
No.
Just one clarification item. You mentioned we went from general concerns about intimidation or whatever it may have been to one phone conversation. And it sounds like it was just a tone issue. Were you ever verbally threatened by Mr. Malloy or anyone? And if so, what were the statements that were specifically made.
Never, that never occurred, never physically, not physically, physically or verbally threatened in any way, shape or form.
Okay.
It was really, like I said, it was the tone, it was how I felt about it. But then it kind of elevated to more than tone when it was put into practice during these budgetary hearings. And to Mr. Malloy's chat point, he's really that piece of this, the budgetary conversation as a commissioner, really doesn't have anything to do with why we're here today with this alleged pact and how it was set up, whether it was legal or illegal. So I just want to, I saw the comment, and, he has a point. Just an observation, but no, to answer your question, I wasn't physically or verbally threatened. It was a tone, it was a perception that I had that I felt was real.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to add also, I didn't realize that Mr. Malloy was commenting. However, why is he involved in this at all? He's one of the ones that submitted an affidavit to be involved in this hearing, but chose not in the package you received yesterday. In the
I understand that. I have one question. What happened, what ended up happening in your budget? Did it, was there a legend? Was it about the same?
Yeah, no, we have a commitment from the collective body of commissioners that our budget would be fully funded
Okay,
by the end of the year.
okay.
Because we've gone back, said there will be shortfalls. We will not be able to fund the second election. We will not be able to pay our bills. And I think the 2 out of the 3 commissioners saw that as a reality. They didn't want us to go to court and sue them for the money and ultimately get it and have those court costs. But then ultimately, I believe they all, I actually don't know how the vote went down. I don't know if it was unanimous or 2 out of 3. I really don't know that.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious how it all ended up. I mean, we heard about.
We're having 2 elections. We're paying everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
I can tell you that I'm speaking to Commissioner Hernandez and Commissioner Bernard. They realized that he was trying to make a problem for us, and they told us, don't worry, we will fund the elections. So it was 2 of the 3 that passed our budget. Although, watching the commissioners meeting live on Zoom, I did notice that Commissioner Malloy finally caved and voted for us.
Okay, thank you. And you are done with this witness? Commissioners, are you finished with questions here? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell, would you like to call your next witness?
I'd like to call Jim Dunlap. He is the vice president, first vice chair of the Trumbull County Republican Party. He was back then, and he still is.
Commission, if I have to leave for another engagement, is that okay?
Yeah, unless there's a reason that the respondent was, or the Ms. Campbell wants to keep you around.
If you
can I leave?
Like to leave. You'd like to leave.
You may.
You can be excused.
Okay, you're.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Campbell, you're gonna have to press the microphone when you go to speak. Yep.
As first vice chair of the party now for what, 4 years? About 4 years?
3.
3 years. Can you please explain to this commission what we have dealt with between Jason Minor, Regina McManus, Commissioner McGuire?
I know this hearing's been long, so I'll try to sum it up. In June of 2022, we had our quadrennial reorganization meeting that all political parties and they do, at which time you have to elect officers for the following 4 years. The people that were supporting Martha Yoder for chair lost a grip after she lost that election to a gentleman named Ken Klein. And from that day forward, those who had been supporting her basically formed what I would describe as a shadow party in Trumbull County. And doing their own thing separate and apart from the county, undermining us at every turn, and so on. And actually kind of represent going out there to the public and implying that they're the actual voice. Okay. This is unethical to say the least, but this is what they were doing. This is what we've been up against. And Regina McManus, the subject of the complaint, has been one of the ringleaders of that shadow party with her own little headquarters in downtown Warren and so on. And we have really had our hands full for since June of 22 on that. It's been difficult. We've stayed the course and hung in there. After Mr. Ballas had to resign as chair last fall for personal reasons, somebody from the shadow party got elected by one vote as chair over Marlia, who had run for it and lost by one vote. And she has participated and has continued this whole effort, including lying to this commission and trying to get in her desperate attempt to get her friend Regina McManus off the hook. It's just, I could go on and on, but it's just been an untenable, disgusting situation which should never happen. County parties should be united and serving, united goals and so forth. And we've been carrying on, and we actually had a very successful year last year in Trumbull County as a party, but it was in spite of what we were up against, with no help from the shadow party, of which our current chair was a part of, who has now been trying to get the case charged against Ms. McManus dismissed, because they've been, like besties for years. And, it's been a very tough situation. I believe she also, Julia Shutt, the chair I'm referring to, actually went to the Federal Election Commission in defiance of the executive committee of the Trumbull County Republican Party, who had voted, as Ms. Campbell alluded to earlier, back in late January, to continue the case to its logical or lawful conclusion, to quietly take steps in defiance of the Trumbull County Executive Committee to go into the FEC to try to get the thing dismissed against the McManus with them. And I believe she made attempts with you guys as well in that regard. Again, in defiance of the executive committee, which had voted 28-11 to continue it. So,
thank you. Would you say that Regina McManus is the main reason for the dysfunction in the Trumbull?
Can I interject? What does this have to do with the allegations that are pending before us as it relates to the potential violations?
This is why this is
Regina McManus.
This actually goes to why they went to the lengths they did to create these clubs and other entities and to circumvent the party, which is why we filed the complaint.
Madam Chair, I just have concerns that we're getting off on tangents here that don't pertain to the specific allegations that we're supposed to be.
Okay, I have a question that pertains. Did there come a time after these slate cards, these phony slate cards turned up, that you questioned a candidate about where they came from?
Oh, yes. After the election last fall, a few weeks later, I called up David DeCristofaro, who had just been elected as Trumbull County engineer, to congratulate him. I had met him several times. I knew him, and we were friendly, and I called him up to congratulate him and ask him questions. And partly because, he and the guy that was running for recorder, I think, or, the clerk of courts, anyway, Ragazzino, had his photograph handing out those phony slate cards at various, polling locations, to people. And so while we're on the phone, and then I like diplomatically got him into, by the way, where did you get those slate cards at? And he kind of fumbled around. He was uncomfortable and didn't want to admit it. And in my own way, I managed to get him to admit, yeah, I got him at Regina's place. I'm from Regina. So, I got the answer to my question. I already knew the answer. I just wanted to hear it from him. And he admitted it.
That's all I have.
Commission members, do you have any questions for the witness?
I'm sure I do have one. Julia,
Shut.
she's still the,
Trumbull County Republican Party Chair.
so. and I apologize, this is a tangent, that's not specifically the allegations, but I can't help but ask. Since, I mean, all the evidence would clearly say that she has, in defiance of this executive commitment vote, sent letters signed on behalf of the party to ask for these dismissals and basically lie. Why has she not been removed in that role?
That's a very good question. And I'll answer it this way. Number one, our party has had a lot of controversy and infighting in recent years, and it's all to the point that it's almost an embarrassment. If the shadow party had like, even if they had to hold their nose and work with us duly elected officers of the party until the next quadrennial reorganization meeting, we could have avoided all this. But no, they wouldn't. So to remove a chair, to remove any officer in a Trumbull County Republican Party, according to our bylaws, you have to go through a procedure. You have to file a complaint with at least 10 people on the central committee, force a meeting, and then it takes a 2/3 vote to remove them. That's probably the key there. And you have to make sure you got that 2/3 before you have a meeting, otherwise it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from commission members? Okay, thank you.
So before I start summation, before I start my summation, I just would like to point out that what Mr. Alberini testified to is exactly what's taking place on the screen right now. Attack after attack after attack after attack. And so this is a little bit what we deal with. But in summation, let's move on. So Regina McManus files under the guise of two entities, Trumbull County Grassroots PAC, Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club, all while running a duplicate Republican headquarters. Neither entity has filed proper reports, turned in receipts, claimed rent, utilities, shown absolutely no contributions. But yet this supposed PAC rents an office space at 371 High Street in Warren with expenses. An LLC cannot be a PCE. But yet she has used the cigar club to contribute to campaigns only to her own advantage. Again, with no reporting to the state because it's illegal. I've already told you about the prior year when the same thing happened under Citizens for Good Government. So in 2023, we had a very similar situation. This time it was a PAC, a phony plate card or mailer put out by Citizens for Good Government in Lordstown. And it was the same person picking up the labels for that. was reported to us after the election. There were no records of who picked up the labels at that time, although the employees told. Anyways, so there was another PAC, another phony PAC. They got away with it, so let's do it again. This time complaints were filed and they had to face, they had to act fast to try and make it legitimate. But it's clear there was never an intent to file this as a legal PAC. We began in early February with fraudulent slate cards. We filed on March 11th, only after being called out publicly and attempted to backdate it by a month and a half. There were no records kept, no receipts, no income, no deposit records. They never filed to this day. They have not filed with the Secretary of State's campaign finance. They also have never filed a designation of treasurer or campaign finance with the Trumbull County Board of Elections. Presently, since the fraudulent slate cards were made and distributed, there's been no activity in this PAC. The only income and expenditure she claims are her own. Her sole purpose was to willfully and intentionally attempt to confuse the public, to imply that some group had endorsed her. In fact, it was just her. We call this election interference, but the law calls it election fraud. She continued to do this to this day, to violate campaign finance laws, to harass and attempt those and intimidate those who don't follow her. If you do not allow her to run your campaign, and that was in that last packet of documents, she will smear you. She will get someone to run against you and she will smear you if you refuse to pay her to run your campaign. In the past decade, belief in fair and free elections has eroded. People do not trust elections anymore. That's why it's important that these complaints are taken seriously and that sanctions or fines are imposed to compel politicians and their campaigns to follow the law. As a board member, I attended an election law seminar where Attorney Richter said that board members should investigate complaints. As for the GOP following complaints, McManus has run a shadow party, confusing voters, again violating Secretary of State election laws, saying that her building is a headquarters for the Republican Party, and that our party members have been extremely upset by her actions, and that's why they voted to continue this complaint. Many good people are being persecuted by this person for no reason other than they refused to let her run their campaigns. She couldn't profit from them under the table, of course. So she finds someone to run against them and then smears them. Those are in that last set of documents I gave you. All being done without following the ORC, Secretary of State campaign finance laws, FEC regulations, or any election laws. I ask you, if this was not a serious issue, why did Regina run someone to take over the Trumbull County GOP as chairman? Why did the new chair ask the executive committee to make a resolution dismissing it, only to be voted down by the body? Why did the new chair take it upon herself against the committee to fire the attorneys that the GOP hired to represent the GOP? Why, after being voted down by the executive committee, did she send a letter to Attorney Richter telling him that the complaint is dismissed? They're trying to protect their friend. That's all this is, because she knows there is tremendous merit here. So I realize your commission ceases to end at the end of the year. I realize that. But this has been in your hands for over a year. That's why these things are continuing. This pattern has continued and will continue unless someone puts a stop to it. Please make a statement here. let's stop this so we can have public trust in our elections.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
I'm curious, or is it appropriate to ask another question? Mr. Ricker?
Yeah, I'd say go ahead. Yes.
You mentioned for using an office address and whatever as the headquarters for the Republican Party. Is there a picture or any evidence in here of that?
Yes, yes. There's, excuse me, there's a picture of her building where it says Republican candidates, and then later it says Republican candidate headquarters. And I could tell you, I know Jim and Mike can tell you, we used to receive phone calls at the actual GOP headquarters. Where do I pick up signs? Is it at the office downtown, or are you guys still on Route 46? Everybody thought that the original GOP moved.
And is it the, also have a complaint against Mr. Minor, correct?
Somewhat. I mean, basically, he's,
Not a somewhat.
yes.
I'll interject there. He is not included in the complaint that the Republican Party, Ms. Campbell brought. He's only involved in the complaint that the Board of Elections brought.
Okay.
You know, in this situation involving the activities of TCR and what he did, and primarily what he was identified as being responsible for was buying certain walking lists, I think.
Absentee voter
Labels.
labels.
You know,
Label.
It was labeled.
Is there anything else beyond buying labels that the county elections commission was incorrect?
So if you look on the exhibits, and I could tell you specifically which one. So some of these in Exhibit 6 show Jason Minor as the principal person to call for reservations for the cigar club and the fundraisers where they were supposedly raising money for candidates.
Yeah. Any other questions? Did you have any follow-up or anything?
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell, there's a
Yes.
question from another commissioner.
So, you mentioned a few times close there, or maybe it was your last several statements about candidates who would not allow Terrans to manage their campaign and retribution. Do you have any affidavits to that effect? Do you
I
have?
don't have an affidavit. What I do have is in the last packet that I gave you. I think it was one of the last two pages of the last exhibit that I gave you, which I think we marked as exhibit 11.
That's the one that's not.
Is that?
That's the one that has extra copies.
So
Mr. Lyle.
you have that, but no affidavits, and none of them are here to testify to that.
To
To testify today.
They're not here to say.
Speak up, since he can't. He wants to see Exhibit 11, he doesn't have it, that's the only copy. Can he
And I believe it was the last two pages of that.
Can you repeat your question? I can't hear you on the.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
use
could,
the mic, please.
please, we could not hear your question. Mr.
My question was, Ms. Campbell had mentioned a number of times that candidates whom would not allow Ms. McManus to manage their campaigns, that she took what amounted to retributive steps towards them, speaking negatively of them in public, promoting other candidates, so forth and so on. And I was asking if she had any affidavits or candidates to which that happened here to testify today. And she referred me to Exhibit 11, and that's what I'm looking at now.
Okay, thank you.
So which, you remember which page it was? I know there's a lot. Yeah, please. I'm all about saving time.
It's just here.
Okay. So Jason Wood would have been one of those candidates that did not.
He's actually talking about his best friend there, who's a candidate, right?